You guys are gonna kill me for this. Hey, it's Fabian, and today I'm going to be looking at my pre-arrivals leaderboard for Miss Universe 2024. So for this, I took a very analytical and calculated approach, which made it a lot more labor intensive for me, but it was worth it to get a clear picture of what the girls were presenting on socials and in their nationals and how to rank them in relation to each other. Essentially, I looked through all of the 128 girls crowned so far, and I made a top 60 list of the girls with the most well-rounded profiles. So for this, I was considering visual impact, performance ability, personal styling, speaking ability, story, and advocacy. And once I did that, I was able to narrow them down to 30 by doing a pro-con analysis for each one of them, and the ones with the most pros towards them, or the ones with the most pros towards their inclusion, made it into the top 30. The criteria within the top 30 looked the same, but just under a magnifying glass. So looking deeply into the socials of each queen and taking notes on their national performances, for example. Once I narrowed it down to 30 girls, I made a list based on my general vibe and intuition. And then I discarded that list and made 3 more lists. One ranking their swimsuit performances and general pasarela abilities with a specific emphasis on the execution of their turns. Then I made another list ranking their personal style by looking at the outfits they've worn and posted on social since they were crowned. And finally, I made a list ranking them based on their speaking ability with a specific focus on their onstage answers for Q&A for their national competitions. So the reason I made these 3 lists was to then determine how I was going to organize the queens based on everything available to us before they arrived to Mexico. So the girls that are listed in my top 12 are the girls with the highest swimsuit ranking in the first list. Then the girls listed in my top 5 are the girls with the strongest styling, which would have left me to assume that they'd have solid evening gown choices to make them past the second cut. And then the girls in my top 5 are also arranged based off of their rankings in my speaking abilities list. And just for fun, I'll show you guys those 3 lists at the end of the video, so make sure to keep watching if you're interested. Anyways, sorry for that super long explanation. Let's get into it. So at number 30, we've got South Africa, Mia LaRue. So Mia's one of the fan favorites to take home the crown this year, and if she makes it into a top 12, she has everything to then make it into a top 5 and then to the crown. It's that road to make it to the top 12 that's her biggest obstacle. As long as Mia's able to deliver a solid performance for swimsuit with good turns and solid leg extension, then she could make it all the way. I can't imagine a scenario in which Mia doesn't make the top 30, but I have her in the last position because the girls in this list have stronger swimsuit performances. Mia has a really strong team behind her, she has one of the best stories of the edition, and she has impeccable styling. She was the first deaf woman competing at Miss Universe, and she wants to open up spaces and opportunities for people who are often excluded. So, at number 29, we have Bolivia, Juliana Varos. So Juliana is one of my personal favorites, and she's one of the smartest girls in the bunch. She's going to do well in an interview without a doubt. She's really well liked by fans, and it doesn't hurt that she's drop dead gorgeous. Julie is someone I included in my first ever video on Crown Contenders because I truly believe that if she made it past that first cut, she could make it really far. But Julie really needs to better her styling. I really need the Miss Bolivia team to work with Julie to get her visually stunning outfits. She had a stunning gown for her national competition, but since then, I haven't really liked most of the outfits that she's worn. Julie's clearly not a style icon, but a Miss Universe needs to be one. Producciones Gloria, wake up and get a modernized wardrobe if you'd like to see Julie go far, because she's going to make it into a top 30 solely on her own merit. She's a biochemist, and she developed her own nail polish that detects date rape drugs in drinks, since she has gone through this experience herself and wants to prevent it happening to other people in the future. Okay, so number 28 is Canada, Ashley Collingbull Rabbit. So Ashley is someone who, as soon as she was crowned, I could see winning Miss Universe. To be honest, that goes for all 3 of the girls that I've talked about so far. But again, the only reason Ashley isn't higher on this list is because she's getting outclassed in swimsuit by other very well-trained delegates. her walk could use a bit more control. I have also noticed that with regard to the outfits that she wears sometimes, they can feel a bit out of place for the event. She needs to make sure that it's not too scandalous, because a queen always needs to make sure that they know how to be sexy without being vulgar. The Miss Universe Canada organization doesn't have the best track record when it comes to styling, so I hope they take into account her own personal style, because I do think she has a very unique personal style. I think that Ashley's also a very solid speaker. She'll surely do well in a closed-door interview. She was the first Native woman to become a Sports Illustrated model, and she's dealt with a lot of discrimination due to her race. So at number 27, we've got Cuba, Guamaranella Anetta. So Marianela really is a newbie when it comes to pageants, and it shows in the execution of her turns. That being said, I do think Marianela actually has a pretty solid walk. She just needs to fine-tune in her technique. It makes sense that she is actually a natural on stage. She has years of experience as a runway model. I think that Marianela will just need to practice those fun, flirty expressions to liven up her performance. For the interview, from the interviews I've seen of hers, I actually think she's going to be doing an amazing job at closed-door interview. So I do see her placing as a big possibility. Outclassing 100 girls will be an amazing accomplishment for a newcomer. She left Cuba at 13 years old to pursue a better future after living in poverty due to the dictatorship. She fulfilled her dreams by becoming a runway model. So at number 26, it's Australia, Zoe Creed. Okay, so the only footage I have to go off of for Zoe's swimsuit performance is like 24 pixels of resolution, but I can still see that her walk is pretty solid. It's just missing a bit of a fun flair to it. Zoe is one of those girls that seems to go under the radar, but she's tall, imposing, and she has a stunning face and an amazing figure. Zoe's also a good speaker, she's easy to listen to, and I think it'll make an asset in selling herself as an entrepreneur, fitness mentor, and endometriosis awareness advocate. She also has her own paid subscription program where she offers fitness routines that can be followed from anywhere. Okay, so at number 25, we've got Cambodia, Davin Prath. So Davin's national pageant was particular because they didn't have a swimsuit competition, rather a casual wear competition where they wore suits. So this is what I've been going off of for Davin's placement within this top 30 itself, but I'm sure Davin's performances in swimsuit can be more fluid and fun. We're just going off of what we've actually seen. I couldn't find anything from her Universal Woman journey either. Davin's someone who has amazing style and spectacular speaking abilities, so if it does turn out that she can outwalk some of the girls that I've listed above her, that means that she'll be a huge contender for the crown. Davin is surely going to have show-stopping gowns, and if she gets to that microphone, she could go all the way. She's married and she has a 4-year-old daughter. She's a philanthropist for children's scholarship and cleft palate surgeries. So, moving on to number 24, it's Zimbabwe, Sakila Dube. Okay, this one really hurt, but I need to acknowledge the fact that Sakila's swimsuit performance is one of the areas that she needs to work on the most. I think that Sakila would be such an amazing Miss Universe. In my personal and humble opinion, she's one of the most beautiful girls this year, hands down. Sakila is just incredibly stunning and captivating. I love her personal style, and she always looks very good and put together. That style of like really straight hair looks amazing on her. Sakila really needs to make sure that she has strong, confident strides for swimsuit, since her performances at her national seemed a bit stiff. If she's perfected her walk enough to make it into a top 12, Sakila could totally make it into a top 5 because she's clearly has the beauty to win the whole thing. She's an orphan. She lost both of her parents in an accident when she was a kid, and she started her own foundation to support orphans' education as well as provide medical support. And at number 23, we've got Mexico, Fernanda Beltran. Alright, so for this one, I had to put a lot of thought into it and where I was going to put Fernanda based off of what Fernanda's capable of. And after watching a bunch of interviews, I realized that she's actually really good at selling herself. She's a good speaker. She doesn't sound she's a good speaker. She doesn't really seem to second guess herself too often, so I think she's going to be able to excel in an interview. And since she's the host, she's going to have a lot of eyes on her. I think that Fernanda should be able to make it into a top 30, but I still have my doubts with her because sometimes I feel like her messages are just a tad bit surface level. I would really like to know Fernanda at a deeper capacity. That being said, she has a solid swim performance, so I couldn't deny her this position. She's a business owner and she has her own lipstick bar, allowing people to create their own lipsticks while enjoying a cocktail. Okay, so number 22 is Malaysia, Sandra Lim. So Sandra has demonstrated that she has incredible technical abilities on stage. And to be honest, the only thing that's keeping her from being at a higher position in this list is that the swimsuit performance that they showed at Miss Universe Malaysia was actually just like a cocktail dress round. It didn't have a swimsuit competition. The way she hit her marks and did her turns for that really showcased that she'll have no issues with the swimsuit portion of the competition, and I'm excited to see her performances. Sandra is incredibly disciplined and aware of her body movements as a martial artist, so I really do think that she's going to only rise in the following weeks. As a martial artist, she's also a stunt performer and she enjoys kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, as well as wielding weapons such as swords and spears. Alright, so at number 21 we have Colombia, Daniela Tolosa. So Daniela hasn't been the most popular Miss Colombia as of late, being a bit underestimated, but I personally really like Daniela. She's a really good speaker and she's got a good message to transmit, so I think she'll do well enough in an interview to make it through, and she's got a very solid walk. She's going to be someone a lot of people's favorites will have to look out for because she could outperform a lot of people in swimsuit and make it into top 12. I wouldn't put it past her. She just needs to make sure that she doesn't get overshadowed by the many other fan favorites in this edition. She's getting world-class training and she has a genuine heart. Never sleep on a Colombian delegate. She was an overweight kid and she worked on accepting and loving herself, and then she went through a physical transformation, losing all of that weight. Okay, now moving on to number 20, it is Great Britain, Christina Chalk. So Christina's one of those girls that is also on the cusp fighting for one of those spots in this top 30. She's just really got to make sure that she's a standout in interview and on stage. Christina is able to bring in stunning and captivating performances on stage with great facial transitions and a lot of personality. Christina may be one of those girls that gets lost in the shuffle, but her performances and the nuances of her facial expressions as she moves actually kind of position her as a very strong and capable delegate. I wouldn't be surprised to see Christina make it into a top 30 at all. I mean, she's a great speaker, she's super relatable and down to earth, and she's just a joy to talk to. She competed for years to make it to Miss Universe until she aged out, and after the rules changed, she gave it a 5th chance and she finally won. So number 19 is Puerto Rico, Jennifer Colon. Guys, trust me, as a Puerto Rican, it physically hurts me to put her this low. But it's mostly given to the fact that Jennifer has really kept footage of her runway training secret. Besides her performances at her national, I really don't know like what her turns and technique looks like. Jennifer is one of those girls that fully deserves to be in a top 12, but if she gets outperformed in swimsuit, I'm not gonna act shocked. She said herself swimsuit is the aspect of competition that she's the most nervous about. Jennifer is hands down the best speaker of the audition. If she makes it into a top 5, good luck to anybody that's going up against her. Y'all don't know how much I want her to win. I want her to win so bad. But anyways, she's a single mother of 3, and she was first runner-up at Miss Universe Puerto Rico in 2009. She then had a child and had to let go of her dream in pageantry, and now she's coming here 15 years later, finally fulfilling that dream. Okay, so number 18 is Brazil, Luana Cavalcante. So Luana is one of the most unique faces in the editions. Her eyes in particular really make her a standout. They're so captivating and sweet, not to mention how notable she is with her short haircut. Hey, her styling is actually impeccable. With one of my favorite evening gown performances of this batch. If she were to make it into a top 12, she'd be a huge threat to make it into the top 5. I think the only thing keeping Luana from getting a higher placement in this list is that her swimsuit performance was solid, but it didn't stand out for its technicality. And we're about to get into the girls that are real strong runway performers. Luana, just make sure to have really memorable moments, have levels to your performance, and I could see you going really far. She's married and a mother to a little boy. She's also an international actress, having been in movies in Hollywood and Hong Kong. Okay, so number 17 is New Zealand, Victoria Velasquez Vincent. So Victoria is the definition of a pageant veteran. She's known for her intense preparation and work ethic. She's incredibly smart and super eloquent. I think she'll dominate closed-door interview without a doubt. Victoria will be coming in with a deadly ability on stage. The biggest concern I have with Victoria is her styling, which has bested her in the past. For example, I do think that she could have made it further in Miss Universe Philippines 2024 if her evening gown had been more breathtaking. Considering that her national organization is in its infancies, we'll see if they're able to provide her with the necessary resources to excel. But if there's something that I know about Victoria, is that she'll be able to get it done herself if she has to. She's an architect, passionate about heritage conversation in her country. She was kidnapped as a child and speaks out against human trafficking. So at number 16, it is Denmark. Oh, I just realized, back-to-back Victorias. So Victoria was a competitive dancer, and it really shows in her performances. She has incredible control of her body. She was literally training contestants at Miss Denmark's, and that's why they appointed her, since they didn't have enough time to train the newly crowned delegate. So Victoria has an amazing walk. Her turns are precise and incredibly fierce. I also really like her styling, being like one of the most standout delegates in all of her appearance, at least in my opinion. Her transformation from Miss Grand has been astounding to see, and I think that anybody can see that this girl is dangerous. She's super sweet and actually a confident speaker, even if English isn't her first language. Watch out for Denmark. She was a national ballroom dancing champion as well as a European champion. She works in the jewelry industry and specializes in diamonds. Okay, at number 15, we've got Netherlands, Faith Landman. So Faith is one of the sweetest girls in this edition. She just seems so genuinely excited to be representing her country. She's incredibly photogenic and incredibly fit. Her runway walk is very well executed and improving every day. She's a good speaker too, and a natural conversationalist. I really don't think she'll struggle in interview, especially since there's so many interesting things she could talk about, from being a wife to a mother, a business owner, photographer, her trip to Tanzania, and of course just breaking barriers. Faith did not come to play, and she's been working tirelessly to make sure that the fans are also going to be backing her up. And she's become one of the favorites of the European region since her crowning. So for number 14, it's France, Indira Ampiot. The Miss France competition isn't really focused on high-energy swimsuit performances, so many people actually don't know that Indira has an incredible swimsuit walk. Her turns are amazing, and she's just so full of coy and playful energy. She could really break into a top 12 because the performances I've seen of hers are just simply impeccable. Indira's really charming. She's sweet, relatable, and has a really good sense of humor. She doesn't seem to take herself too seriously, but also comes off as super down to earth while maintaining this like ridiculous beauty. I mean, I could really see this girl going as far as winning the whole thing. Don't underestimate Indira at all. She's got everything she needs to place: strong performances, good speaking abilities, and an advocate that actually means something. She traveled to India to provide orphan children with educational opportunities. Indira is one of 2 Guadalupan girls this edition. And, okay, right at the edge of my top 12, please don't kill me, it is, at number 13, Venezuela, Ileana Marquez. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I think that Ileana missing out on top 12 is a bit unlikely, but after analyzing everybody's swimsuit performances, I personally just think that the 12 girls I have above her have stronger performances. But knowing Miss Universe, one of those girls, one of those deserving girls, probably is not gonna make it. Back to Ileana though. As I've said before, she really is the picture of classic pageantry with the added twist of being a mother. She's perfect in every appearance. Her styling is impeccable. She's super sweet and approachable. You just feel this good energy from her. Honestly, I think Ileana has everything she needs to make it into a top 5. She just needs to hope that the 12 girls above her don't do better in the swimsuit competition. Okay. Oh, she was a teen mom and she has a daughter. She emphasizes the importance of integral sexual education to prevent teen pregnancies. Okay, now starting off my top 12, we have at number 12, Jamaica, Rachel Silvera. Now, I think that Rachel's swimsuit performances can outclass a large chunk of the delegates this year. She's incredibly well trained and just unnatural. Her attitude and spunk really come out in everything she does. That being said, although Rachel is one of those girls that's deserving to go really far, she could even go as far as to win the whole thing. I personally just haven't been the biggest fan of her styling. Out of all of the girls in this top 20, I could see missing out on this spot because people might have not liked the things that she was wearing. I think Rachel really needs the right styling to make it to this position. She has everything to make it to this position, but she needs to look good at all times. If she were to come in with the perfect dress and make it into a top 5, everybody would really need to watch out because she's going to do so well in Q&A. She's a pharmacist with a special focus on ethnobotany. She organizes sustainable urbanization projects in rural communities. Okay, and number 11, we've got Aruba, Anouk Iman. So Anouk is one of those girls that people recognize as strong competition, but I still don't see her high on people's lists. Anouk didn't come to play. She's not coming to play. She's not just a former athlete, she's a former synchronized swimmer, one of the hardest, most physically tasking sports out there. So I cannot at any point underestimate Anouk's ability to deliver on stage at all. She's been a performer her entire life. She's also walked as a runway model for years, and she knows exactly what to do in the swimsuit competition. She's going to come in vying for a really high placement, and the only thing I see her keeping it from an even higher placement is her styling. Sometimes I feel like her style can be a bit gaudy, even a bit vulgar, so she just needs to be very put together, as eloquent as possible. The right dress will be crucial into getting her into a top 5. I mean, doesn't Anouk look like someone that could win? She gave up her career as a synchronized swimmer to get corrective surgery for her scoliosis, taking her health as her main priority. Okay, and number 10, we've got Finland, Matilda. Now, I know a lot of people see Matilda winning the whole thing, and I fully understand because she has the technical ability to take her all the way. She's got the performances, the speaking, and she's got the look. Matilda is without a doubt one of the best swimsuit performers of the bunch. The only thing keeping Matilda this low is the fact that I personally have not been a fan of her styling like at all. And I'm not talking about her hair at all. I'm only talking about the outfits she's been wearing. Like, let's talk about, for example, her evening gown for her national. I did not like that gown. And if she brought that gown to Miss Universe, I would be incredibly disappointed because, especially since like she has such a huge fan following, like she really needs outfits and dresses that are going to highlight and amplify her beauty, not something that's going to hinder her and that she has to work through to make look good. I really want to see Matilda in more outfits that suit her. I think she looks best in looks that highlight her figure, and she should just avoid the poofs, avoid the peplums, and avoid the puffs. She suffered from an eating disorder when she was just 17 years old, and she wants to create awareness and increase self-acceptance amongst the youth. Okay, so for number 9, we've got Ecuador, Maratopic. Okay, so out of everyone, I'm the most confident that Mara is going to make the top 12 because I just think that there's no way that she's not going to be one of the top swimsuit performances. Her iconic signature turn is exactly what I want to see. Something that's impactful, something that's entertaining and unique. I think that she's going to leave a lot of people in the dust this edition. Mara is incredibly charismatic and a great speaker with impeccable English. She's a sure placer, and honestly, she's going to surely get far too. Now, as far as her styling, some people may disagree with me. I know some people are going to disagree with me, but I personally think that her style is just a bit all over the place. Some of the more intricate things she's worn come off a bit costumey, and I think she really needs to come in with the right dress to make... I think that she needs to come in with the right dress and looks to make it all the way, because she may be great on stage, but if there's 50 silver dresses, you need to make sure that you are in the best silver dress. Mara wears wigs due to an autoimmune disease that causes her to lose her hair. She also has her own music video production company. So, at number 8, we have Chile, Amelia. Now, I know a lot of you wish I'd put her at my number 1 position, and I totally understand why. No one can deny that Amelia is one of the most stunning and standout faces of the edition. But as I mentioned in my last video, I think that the Miss Chile organization needs to make sure to highlight Amelia in every appearance that she makes. And although she sells everything that she wears, I kind of think that her styling could use a little bit of work. Like, if she wants to make it into that top 5, she needs to be a style icon. And from what I've seen a lot of suits. Looking at her runway performances, I also think that she's somewhere in the middle. She needs to make sure that she can hone in those performances. They're a little bit fidgety, her chin chucks are a little bit too harsh. She just needs to be a little bit more fluid. Honestly guys, I'm not putting her in this position because I don't like her. I would love to see Amelia win. Chilean beauty queens have been overlooked for way too long because you guys have been sending amazing delegates. Like, I still have not gotten over Sofia de Pasier not getting into the top 16 at Miss Universe in 2022. Like, I still cannot believe it. I would love nothing more than Amelia to prove me wrong and to make it into that top 5. Sound off in the comments if you're Team Chile. She's a professional singer signed to a record label in her country. She competed and won a televised singing competition. Okay, at number 7, we've got Spain, Michelle Jimenez. Guys, I really think that she has what it takes to make it all the way. Michelle's swimsuit performances are impeccable, her styling so far has been super solid, and she's a great communicator with a unique story. She's a sure placer without a doubt, and honestly, I think that there's no way that she doesn't make top 12. My only concern is that the Miss Spain organization may drop the ball like they did with Atenea last year by giving her a hideous gown. Like, I'm sorry, but there's no other way to say it. When I saw Atenea in top 10, I literally said no, because the dress kept her from advancing. She's lucky that her dress from preliminaries didn't keep her from making it into the top 20. But I mean, from what I've seen from Michelle so far, I really don't have any reason not to put her this high. I mean, her outfits so far have been good. She's a dancer and she left her home when she was 12 years old on her own volition to live in a children's center due to the abuse at home. She's the eldest of 9. And right at the edge of that top 5 at number 6 is Peru. Tatiana Calmel. Okay, I know I had her at number 1 in my last leaderboard, but that was before the event in Miami, where a lot of people kind of felt like Tati was getting overshadowed by other strong delegates, and I have to agree. I think the thing is, Tati's styling is generally quite plain. I feel like she should embrace wearing more colorful things. She needs to make sure that she's not outshined by other amazing dresses in evening gown, because she has some of the best performances on stage, having very good technical abilities. I obviously still think Tati can win, but the girls above her in my list, in my humble opinion, have just showcased better styling. She's an actress and was recently on a Disney Plus movie, being a part of the first fully Peruvian cast on this platform. Okay, now starting off this top 5, at number 5, we've got Honduras, Stephanie Cam. Guys, I couldn't put her any lower, I'm not sorry. The thing is that Stephanie has some of the best runway skills, and she's got amazing training, making sure she's one of the best. She's without a doubt one of the strongest on stage, and her unique look paired with her always perfect styling is something that won't go overlooked. Honestly, the fact that Stephanie's interviews, the fact that all of Stephanie's recent interviews plus her answers in her national competition were in Spanish, that's what's keeping her in this 4th runner-up position, because I don't know if she's an amazing speaker. She clearly struggles a bit in Spanish since it's not her first language, but even with that, she's still able to deliver answers that actually have substance to them. She's clearly very smart. I think that Stephanie has become a fan favorite, but to be honest, I think that she's still being undervalued. Stephanie making it into the top 5 would be amazing. Do you think that she has what it takes? She's a mother to a little girl who also has natural red hair just like her. She's been working as a model for years. She's super acclaimed. Okay, and number 4, it's Philippines, Chelsea Manalo. So Chelsea has always been a dark horse, not getting the attention that most Filipinas get at Miss Universe. But the truth is that she demonstrated in every single one of her appearances at Miss Universe Philippines that she has an impeccable and signature runway performance that makes her a standout. Not only to mention, Chelsea just stands out from the crowd in general. She also has such a sweet demeanor that it's kind of hard not to fall in love with her. Chelsea's someone that the average person is gonna look at and be like, oh wow, she's stunning, but also she doesn't look like any of the other beauty pageant winners I've seen before. Chelsea not only has amazing performances, she also has an organization that's putting incredible attention to detail in every single one of the outfits that she wears. They're going to be doing everything in their power to get her to that top 5, and I'm kind of inclined to believe that they're going to be able to pull it off. I have her in my 3rd runner-up position right now because communication is the aspect that Chelsea needs to work on the most. She's the first Black woman crowned in her country and in all of Southeast Asia. She's an advocate for inclusion and diversity. Okay, at number 3, it's Thailand, Opal Suchata. I've got to be honest, I think Opal has the biggest chances out of everybody to secure a top 5 spot. Her performances are insane, her styling is next level, she literally never looks bad, literally never. Opal is the full package. She's also been doing a good job at maintaining herself relatable and down to earth. But the only thing keeping her from the crown, in my opinion, is her delivery when it comes to questions. I think she's a good speaker, she's super smart, and she knows what she wants to say, but sometimes it could come off a little rehearsed, maybe distant and clinical. I need Opal to open up and just be herself. I think that the moments where Opal shines the most is when she's just having fun and being playful and maybe even a little silly. I think that everybody should be aware that Thailand winning will always be a strong possibility this edition. Okay, so for number 2, we've got India, Rhea Singha. So compared to Opal, I'm not as sure that Rhea will make it all the way, but her swimsuit performance is definitely strong enough to take her to the top 12. And then when I look at her styling and the things that she's worn, I really like it. I think that she actually has really good personal styling, so I think that she could do well enough to outclass the girls in my current top 12 and make it into this top 5. Because that top 12 that I have, I think a lot of these girls are struggling, or at least in my opinion, need to improve their styling. So I think that in this context, Rhea does have a really good shot. Like, her styling isn't top tier, but it's solid. It's solid enough to make it this far. And then compared to her speaking, and then comparing her speaking ability to the other girls I have in my top 5, I mean, without a doubt, she's one of the best. So I do think that Rhea has a really good shot at winning if she were in a top 5 that was looking like this. She made her Bollywood debut this year at just 19 years old, being featured alongside a previous diva Miss India. And lastly, at number 1, and my pre-arrivals pick to win is Dominican Republic Celine Santos. Okay, this may be controversial since I said I was organizing the top 5 based on speaking ability, but the thing is, I think that Celine is an amazing speaker, and I really don't understand the critique that she constantly gets about her speech needing work. Like, it really doesn't. I mentioned it before that Celine speaks with confidence. She just speaks like a confident Dominican woman. Like I've heard people say that she's presumptuous and that she seems overconfident when she speaks, but I just don't agree. Like, she's come a long way since Miss International. If you watch recent interviews that she's done, she's been nothing but sweet and delightful. And I actually think that her answer for the question and answer round for her final for her final competition was actually super strong. My only advice to Celine is that if she uses an interpreter, she just needs to watch her facial expressions. If anything is interpreted wrong, or if the interpreter speaks over her, she needs to remain graceful. Like, remember how Ariadna Gutierrez seemed annoyed when the interpreter kept on talking over her? She needs to avoid that completely. Like, do not do that. Be patient and answer in Spanish, because the Mexico City audience is going to love it. And the selection committee will appreciate it regardless, because there's a lot of Spanish speakers on this panel. Celine is one of those girls that I have never not put in my top 5, no matter how I make my lists. I really think that she is the perfect competitor, and I'm surprised that more people aren't putting her as the one to beat. She comes off... Celine comes from humble beginnings, and she works to provide children in her community with better educational opportunities. And that's it! Okay, so please remember that this is a pre-arrivals leaderboard. I know that girls have already arrived, but I made the ranking before that, and I've just been trying to get this video out since this past weekend. I've only focused on what they've demonstrated before the concentration started on their socials and in their national competition. I've listened to every single one of these girls speak. I've heard them respond to questions. I've heard hours of interviews. I've rewatched each and every one of their full performances multiple times. I analyzed all of their outfits since their crowning. This was a lot to do. But I just wanted to be fair and unbiased, and I think I did a pretty good job. So I'm sure that the order of the list can be a little bit surprising, but taking everything into consideration, I think it's pretty realistic. But please let me know if you disagree. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I actually did make 3 lists ranking each of the girls based off of swimsuit, styling, and speaking. So this is what those 3 lists look like. And I also mentioned that I initially made a list just based off vibes alone and just my intuition, and then I discarded it, but I did want to show you guys that list too, here it is, because I just think it's crazy how different things ended up being. And like always, I do want to do a quick run through on how I classified the girls that didn't make it and what their strengths are. So here's 10 girls with stunning facial beauty that could make it in based on their performances alone. Here's 10 girls with incredible interview and speaking ability that could make it in with a really solid closed door interview. Here's 10 girls with amazing stories or great representation that could really make them stand out in an up close and personal segment. Here's 10 girls that have strong advocacies that'll make them sure contenders for the Voice for Change. Here's 10 girls that are complete dark horses that I feel no one knows how they'll end up doing. They could end up being huge surprises. And finally, here's 10 girls that are just some of my sentimental favorites who why not mention them? It's my video after all. And that's everything I wanted to go over. Sorry, I know that this last part was a lot, but I just like showing you guys where the girls that I don't mention stand. Please let me know what your early leaderboard looks like. Have any of your opinions on the girls changed since they arrived? This has been a long video, but it's actually been really fun to make. Thank you guys so much for making it all the way to the end. I really do appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!